And the first item is to adopt the agenda. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Nope. All in favor? Thank you. The second item is the consent agenda, D on your package. Adoption of the minutes, correspondence, trustee reports. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you. Seconder? Yes. Trustee Caden?
Have we received a response from the ministry regarding our letter we sent regarding the cooperative data savings plan?
No response.
Yeah.
Any discussion further? No? All those in favor? Thank you. And report of the in-camera meeting. We had a brief in-camera meeting largely to deal with personnel matters. And the next item is the presentation from the Destination Imagination folks who went to China. The lucky people.
So through you, Mr. Chair, and to the trustees in the gallery, I would like to formally introduce the Destination Imagination team that represented School District 71, represented British Columbia, and represented Canada in China at the first global event that included National Geographic. And they're here to give us a presentation. They are here with one of their sponsor teachers, Mr. Fussell from Isfeld, and I will leave it to him to make the introductions. Okay, Gerald, just for once in your life, just follow the instructions. Okay, ready to go?
So we are SDI 71, and we all started Destination Imagination at different times. I myself, as well as Ethan, started in grade 9, and you guys started in grade 8, grade 7, and grade 10. And together we have all done numerous months of challenges, and so we were able to pull together our strengths and to make this one team. And in grade 9, when Mr. Fussell pulled me out of my class and asked me to join DI, I had no idea what it was. And so I spent that night and the week following researching it nonstop. And the things I learned, I thought it was absolutely incredible. They have the global tournament where so many students get to show their creative ways to solve problems. And I think that it's helped me a lot. Like, you go into a room and they tell you, here's your challenge, here's some pipe cleaners, solve it. And I don't think I could ever have found new creative ways of creating different, like something to hold something up, or something to hold weight, make a story. It's helped me in everyday life because it's using creative ways to solve problems. And I think it's helped me as well as everyone else. And yeah, that's what DI is and how we got into it. And I think that Isfeld has done very great at competitions. Together we've had something like 17 times we've gone to globals.
17 top 10 finishes.
Yeah, 17 top 10 finishes. Sorry, I'm very sick right now.
I can hear it. I can hear it.
And we've done, again, different kinds of challenges. We've done scientific, this group here did scientific and improv, and then we've had fine arts, which is and technical, which Matthew is amazing at technical. And I think that's all the challenges we've done. Yeah.
Alrighty. So I'm Matthew. As you said, I was more part of the technical part of DI for the past few years. Last 2 years about, and what I've really found is DI kind of helps you think of new ways to think of ways of solutions to problems. So back in grade 8, we had a very interesting team. Some issues with teamwork there. When we first started, we literally could not come up with an idea for a team name. We all wanted our ideas in there. We were all fighting against each other, and it was a terrible experience. But what we learned from that, as we went on from regionals to provincials to globals, is that we learned how to put our ideas together and think as a group. Now I'll give the example. We had this one backdrop that we had to create, and what we had originally was one person, go build this. As we were going to globals, I mean, obviously you can't put a 2 meter tall 2x4 in a small suitcase. Not happening going to Tennessee. So what we had to do was come together as a team and think of ideas of how we could put this together as a team and collaboratively put this together and think of ideas to create a great product at the end. Now, how this has helped me personally, honestly, I'm no actor. I'll be really honest. Back in grade 8, my part, I had one line in our performance. And what I've gone from that is now in grade 10, I've been narrating, I've been thinking on my feet, thinking while speaking kind of thing, which has been really beneficial to me. Now, as we went with this team to globals, that helped me even more personally because I was able to think of ideas, contribute to the team, even with 5 out of 7 of these people being all improvers and me being like the technical one, the odd one out. I was able to help to finish a great product, which was judged by the judges in China, which is very cool. Now, when we worked with the students there in Shanghai at the Maple Leaf School, what I found was the students there were at the same stage where I was in grade 8. They weren't very confident. They weren't putting their ideas forward, which kind of shows how far I've come, how far we've come as DIers, and how much it can really help people in their life, in their jobs, and how important DI really is. Thank you.
So, hi, my name is Kristen, and this is my 3rd year doing DI, and I've always been more on the improv and performance side, and it's been really fun, worked with lots of different teams with varying levels of success. DI is very heavily integrated with elements of communication and teamwork. So when we first got to Shanghai and we met our international buddies, we were each paired up with 2 buddies, and their job was sort of to introduce us to their community and show us around Shanghai and Hangzhou. But at the same time, we were introducing them to DI. So it was really fun. Hannah and I worked together to create an instant challenge workshop that we taught to 3 different teams. And the rest of the people on our team each got into smaller groups to work on individual workshops. It was really cool to collaborate and take all of the things that we had learned over our years of DI and create a workshop that worked especially on strengths that ESL students need to work on. And we came into our workshop with all these ideas laid out about what we were going to do. We had very high goals set for all of the students, and definitely had to adapt what we were doing during the day. Between the first workshop and the last workshop, I'd say there was a lot of differences. I think we especially learned how to effectively communicate clearly and concisely. And one of my goals is eventually to become a university professor. So it was an interesting experience for me to be teaching students in front of a classroom, standing up, doing that sort of thing. And the collaboration and teamwork that was required to put the presentation together was really interesting. I mean, we had lots of back and forth when we were teaching the students. We each talked about different things, and there was a lot of questions, which was really great coming from the students. We were really trying to encourage that because as ESL students, they were very underconfident in asking questions when we first started, and we were trying to explain very clearly, this is a very important part of DI. You need to communicate, right? So if you don't understand an idea your team member is putting forward, you need to tell them. And that's really key to solving a problem as a team, as opposed to one team member creating a solution, carrying it through, and all of the rest of the team sort of following. So that was sort of the first experience we had. And then we took another plane and we went to Beijing, and the competition was way bigger than I imagined. I think everyone else can agree with me. We met so many international students, and pin trading is a really big part of DI, and it really pushes teams to interact with each other. So kids who are maybe 8 or 9 years old will come up to you, and you can't believe how brave these kids are, because they come up to you and they maybe know 100 words in English, and they're already trying to bargain with you and say, no, I'm only going to give you 2 pins, and it's really impressive. And we also met some teams from Virginia, and it was interesting, and Poland also, talking to them, comparing what our DI experience has been with theirs in their own country.
Can I add on to that really quick?
Yeah.
We got really close to the team of West Virginia that they're even staying at my house in spring break to come visit us because they really enjoy doing DI with us. And we kind of joked about doing more like presentations with them, so they are coming here to come and watch more of our important stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool. We bonded really well with them over the tours that we went on because the tours made us become the second language people because we had to go out and try and communicate. I know Sam had got a translating dictionary, and we went to this one restaurant, and we were doing really well right up until dessert, and I was back of the book, and I thought I was in the food section, so I wasn't reading it very carefully, and I was like, Shlipa, Shlipa, and all of the people in the restaurant are running around going, ah! So I ended up ordering a dessert because I didn't look closely enough, and there actually was only one S, so we didn't have any dessert that day, but there was lots of interesting experiences, and we learned a lot of communication without words and that kind of thing. One thing that's been really interesting for me now, since I've come back, I'm coaching a middle-level improv team, and they are just like we were when we started, and they are doing really well, but we're always trying to work on better communication strategies. What can you do? Make sure that everyone on the team gets their say as quickly as possible, because the pressure in an instant challenge to come up with a solution in 3 to 5 minutes is incredibly large. People crack under stress all the time, and so we're always working on solutions for team members so that no one feels like their idea was ignored or that they never had a say in the solution. By the time you compete, every person on the team feels like the solution was a team solution instead of one person's idea. So communication has been a really big part of DI, and I think that's probably the most valuable skill that we learn, because it's something that we don't learn in most classroom settings.
So like Kristen was saying, DI has a lot to do with communication and teamwork is especially relevant in today's world where our community is so large that nothing major is accomplished by ourselves. It's always with the help of others that things are accomplished. Like the friend standing next to me, I couldn't have gone to China by myself, and so it is with them that I went to China and accomplished different things with our variety of backgrounds. So DI has taught me a lot about social and personal development. For example, it's taught me to step out of my comfort zone. Like when we were in Shanghai at the Maple Leaf School, a lot of the students that spoke very little English came up to me and made some sort of crippling. I guess because of my height, they all wanted
They're crazy about basketball.
I'm terrible. And so I was nervous because I thought they would think, oh, he must be the basketball master. He's so tall, he can just reach up and put the ball in net. Which, ironically, I can't, even though it's this close, I can't. So me and Jacob wanted to play basketball, and at first it was kind of awkward. We were trying to make teams, and it didn't make sense. But by the end of it, we were all laughing and making motions, and going, whoa, and whoa! We came back laughing. I couldn't communicate with them, but through sport and friendly competition, I learned to make friends with these people that I didn't share a single word in common with. And this is what's really cool about DI, is as soon as you start competing against teams like Poland and China and the United States, everywhere, you don't speak the same language as them, but you're competing against them and competing with them, and it's this that brings you together. So the opportunities to go to Tennessee and to China and to get to see the rest of the world really kind of grounds me. And then when I see, like the first year DI, I saw our names on the Jumbotron in the Knoxville Convention Center, and we got in 10th place, and I didn't comprehend that. I mean, 10th place in the world is a huge accomplishment. And the following year when I went back to school, this boost in confidence and motivation to go, if I can get 10th in the world, and that was in grade 9, what can I accomplish after this? Where can I go? What can I how can I push myself to learn more and to do better? And after that year and getting 10th, not only did we go back to win second the year after that, my GPA went up like 10%. I started doing a ton of other things and working harder and harder to find where is my limit and how hard can I work and how much can I push myself to learn. And it's this that is such the awesome thing about DI is that it pushes you to that limit and it pushes you to find how hard can I push myself? What can I accomplish? And that's what's so awesome about it.
Good. Thank you.
As you probably figured out, these 7 students definitely deserved the honor that they had. They were asked to represent not only obviously our district, but also the country. And from Brendan, Matthew, Jacob, Sam, Ethan, Kristen, and Hannah, they did us proud. They went into situations we couldn't have predicted for them. The key word for the trip was fluid. Because I tell you, everything there was fluid. Every plan we had, fluid. Every expectation, fluid. We had no idea what was happening. And not once did any of these 7 crack, show stress, strain. They handled it with aplomb and with the decorum that far belies the years that they've got. As educators, we regularly look at the students that we're producing. We talk about the kids that are going out into the world. And we wonder, how are we doing? Well, based on what these 7 did, we're doing really, really well. Their composure under pressure. Their composure when people were up in their faces, violating many of the social norms that we have become comfortable with and accustomed to. They handled with grace, dignity, and an embracing of the people. They were respectful of the cultures, like we couldn't teach them how to be necessarily. They were excellent ambassadors. They were skilled in what they did. And they knew going in that they were being set up to be marketed. They were promoted going in, as were all of the international teams. And unlike many of the international teams, this team embraced that. One of the stories that, and no disrespect to the team, that amazes me is there was a team from the States, tall, 6 foot, blonde, females. And they didn't get nearly the attention this team did. And we were trying to figure out why. And we tracked it down to a little child came up, and I can't remember to which one of these kids, and just sort of looked up, staring. And our student bent down, talked to that student, and brought them in. All of a sudden, it was okay to approach them. And they were approached. And approached, and approached, and approached, and approached. And for 2 hours after the opening ceremonies, they were there having pictures with different teams and things like that. They made themselves accessible. When they were doing the actual challenge, a number of the better teams disappeared to work on their challenge. They went to their room, things like that. Our team knew why they were there. They stayed there, they were showcased. The Minister of Education for China came to watch them and had deputies there videotaping what they were doing and watching because of how good they were. And they didn't let that faze them. They represented us incredibly well. And when I came back to our school, we had an assembly. And when I spoke to the assembly, I said a little bit about these kids, and then I looked around the room, and I meant everything I said. I said, and you know what? The vast majority of you could have come with us and done what this group did. Yes, they're more skilled in certain areas, and yes, because they've been working together, they're definitely technically very talented and outstanding individuals. But looking around that school, 1,000 students, I had confidence that our kids would rise to that kind of a challenge with respect, with dignity, with composure. We hear a lot about 21st century learning. It's in our schools. We are leading the province in these areas, and it is showing in a number of ways. When I was at Global Finals last year, I was interviewed by NBC. A person interviewed me and said, "Why is your team so successful?" I said, "We have an unfair advantage." This is when A-Rod was coming around and things like that. I said, "Well, what do you mean?" Expecting a different answer. I said, "Our kids come from the BC education system here. The best educated kids, and our teachers are working with them." I said, "We have invested a lot in getting them ready for the world, and they have embraced that and benefited from that." Because 21st century learning is in the schools, and DI builds on that, fuels that, gives it a face, gives it a passion, this is a team, like any other team, a basketball team, a volleyball team, that takes that learning and puts it into practice in a competitive, invigorating, exciting realm. And they've done incredibly well with that. We have over 100 students on teams this year in our district, K to 12. We also have more than 1,000 students participating in the classroom version that we've started doing because this board has supported the DI program and teachers are seeing the value in it. Because as you will see from this chart that I'm going to pass around, DI hits every one of the core competencies in spades. The students enjoy doing it, the teachers do an excellent job with them, and our students, I would say, are the best in the world. They got that trophy from the person who runs and controls all of DI China because he recognized them as the champions in every sense of the word, and they deserve that accolade. Thank you very much for your time. All this handout I'm giving around is directly off the ministry. It was the 29th of December, the ministry put out the core competencies and what they are. That's what's on here. I would invite you to take a minute or two to go down those and see how many of those you didn't hear from this group and what we're doing in this district. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Could I just...
They might have questions. Nice try, nice try. We have a challenge.
I would like to say on behalf of the board that this is an extraordinary accomplishment. And we recognize that. And we thank you very much.
We do. Very exciting.
May I, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So to echo the chair's comments and also to recognize that for each one of you there are lots of people behind supporting you, from your families, your educators, your friends, and to acknowledge their support for this as well. What you were describing, I was thinking of potential value added that you could provide to a board, for example. Boards, not necessarily this one, but boards often struggle with developing a sense of team and working collaboratively. And I think it would behoove the board or future boards to think about how could we engage with some of the DI teams or students to come and do a little bit of put us through our paces through some of the same exercises that you have participated in to assist us with doing our job better. The other thing is I would love to be able to chat with your future selves. I'd love to be able to chat with you 10 years from now and to have you reflect on, with that amount of time and space, to reflect on how this experience has influenced and helped shape the direction that you've taken. And certainly invite you as you graduate and go on to do bigger and greater things to keep in touch and let us know. Thank you.
Trustee?
So as a trustee that travels and meets other trustees from the province, our district is well renowned for our DI and our leadership. And I also think, to Gerald, this is also a lot on you. Your leadership is also one of the reasons why these kids do well, and I thank you for the time and effort that you put into that. Because without our teachers and our leaders, you guys would be still great, but they just support you also. And so thank you all for coming tonight and sharing that. And I think that hopefully most of us are hoping to hear from the next board, and I would love to send an invitation, as Trustee Weber said, to come out and work with us and have an evening with us and show us some of the skills and leadership skills that you've developed, and you teach us also your skills. Great.
I really want to talk about leadership. Leadership tends to be a dying art, and you have captured leadership at a very, very young age. And my experience in my professional career, some people are born leaders, and some people learn leadership. You have a gift now that you should be able to embrace for the rest of your life, because you have something that everybody is looking for. And everybody in the future, in your future, you'll be in good stead. So I want to congratulate you on your success in China and the rest of your public education. And I hope that you all go to post-secondary and be very successful. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you again, guys. Thanks for coming. We almost did several times in the airport. We almost left it.
Breakup left around.
Thanks, Gerald. As always.
Now back to the really exciting stuff. Okay. We have the Education Committee report. Trustee Caton?
Everyone has read the report, and thank you all for coming to the meeting. And once again, very wonderful member staff member that David came and spoke to us about CSTs, and I'm really excited about the 1,000 by 5 project, and we hope to invite them to a future board meeting to have that conversation. So, you all see the date for the next one. I expect you all there. Public, you're invited to come also. And motion to accept the report as presented.
Thank you. Seconder?
Second.
Yeah. Thank you. All those in favor? And to the strategic direction and the educational update from the superintendent.
I'd actually, through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to pass this over to the Director of Instruction for Elementary. He had highlighted a number of months ago an intergenerational project that the district's involved in, and he had actually made a commitment to you to report back. We're going to have an expanded version of this at an education committee at some day soon, but we thought we'd like to share a video that was created. So I'm going to turn it over to Director Douglas.
Thank you, Superintendent Elwood. So if you could sort of pivot so you can see the screen, because it's going to be on there. And I'll just tell you that our project is we're working every Thursday morning at Berwick Lodge, our residential senior center, and we have 2 kindergarten teachers, Fullerton from Valley View and Karen Reimer from Valley View. And so one week, one kindergarten class goes, the next week the other kindergarten class goes. We had a couple of barriers that had to be overcome, transportation being a big one, and the Berwick bus comes and picks us up, brings us to Berwick, and takes us back. The average age of the seniors is around 84. And so we were very aware of the fact that we're in their building, their space where they live, and we wondered how this would go. So we started with 4 seniors, and our focus has been on fine arts and language arts. And we're now at 15. And they come on Thursday mornings, and they come gleefully. So one of the projects there, one of the things that you'll see is we've been working on a fine arts focus, and we've acquired a Art Starts grant, and this fellow who did the video for us is helping us with the documentation. It's about 6 to 7 minutes, and it's just lovely. I want you to look at the interactions between the seniors and the children, and look at the faces of the seniors. I will tell you, when you get to that age, one of the things that they tell me, is they need a will to live. And this is their will to get up. This is their will. This is their best day of the week when the kids come on Thursday. So, let's hope this all works. You know how technical I can be.
Captain Technology, here we go.
Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Lights, please. Sound. Sound's coming. Ruth is 90. Barbara. She's got a whole group that day.
Fabulous.
This lady has a daughter that's 74. Her daughter is 74. She's 94 years old. Look at his face.
Yeah, and often we were maybe not so many of us around, so many kids in the block you lived in, or if you lived in the country, or I think every child is different too, like your area, as to even when I grew up, there wasn't a lot of, like, we all had other people that came like that, like to, in today's world, you have to be very careful. We never locked our doors. I wouldn't leave an outside every time because I knew they couldn't make them feel better. So I didn't wear an ass. I was alone about borrowing from an that stopped. In contrast, those who don't have any money today really were rich compared to us.
She's part of our art focus.
And I heard a few singing in the background.
Yeah, we brought him too.
Yeah, we did.
Singing as well, eh, ladies?
He did a great job with it.
Well, my mother-in-law is 97 years old.
She's just young compared to some people in Berwick.
Jackie?
Yeah, you can make a black mom afterwards on top
Ellie, you brought the school choir. They just loved it that day, that they were all singing with the seniors. And today we even got some men out. This time they gave all the children a little teddy bear.
Oh, I love it.
That's a little, with all the kids' names and their handprints on it.
Oh, look at that. Their thumbprints. Uh-huh. I know, they're just, exactly.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Alan.
Great, Alan,
Lovely.
thank you.
Anyone have any questions?
Anything on that presentation?
It's just a shame that the media is not here in one night. We've got two wonderful
Yeah.
what our school district does. And it's really nice to take the news sometimes, but I'm really, really amazed and honored to be part of this district. And thank you, Alan and Mr. Douglas, for all the hard work that you've done. I was at the Valley View concert when the Berwick community came in there, and I could see that the relationship is really, really strong. And express our thanks to the teachers in the community for doing that for us.
Well, my only small part is I look after the seniors. So the teachers look after the children.
Really.
I look after the seniors, and we just have a great time. I have to tell one quick little story, if I can, Mr. Chair. It's only a good thing. So Barbara, the lady in the white sweater, she meets the bus. So I drive there, and I'm standing there, and Barbara's at the door waiting for the bus. The kids get off, and they come running towards Barbara, right? This little Jacob guy's got his arms out, runs up, gives her a great big hug, and he goes, "You're just like my grandma, except my grandma's a lot skinnier than you are." I went like this, I went, "Oh." I said, "Barbara, he didn't." She goes, "I'll have to cut back on some of the meals." But those kids say the darndest things.
I do appreciate your point about the media, though. I suggested to the superintendent that the China trip in particular deserves a press release to speak about that accomplishment. Yeah. The next item is back to the really exciting stuff, the board procedural bylaw. If you remember, the purpose of this was to give us an opportunity to have a policy committee of the whole, so that the strategy committees would be reporting work that they had done, and then we would have a committee of the whole venue at which we could presumably move forward to a policy statement. That was the idea behind this. The bylaw, which is in your documents, it's on page 13 actually, does require, 13, 14, 15, and so on. It does require as a bylaw, a change of the bylaw. It does require 3 readings. Could I get a mover of the recommendation for the first reading?
I'll move recommendation for first reading.
Thank you. Seconder? Okay. And discussion. Comments on the bylaw? Yes, please. Trustee Gunn.
I'm not going to support this because I think it's premature. I believe in the committee process. I think the committee process is very effective. Having the committee review the policy and then having it go to a education policy committee to be vetted before it comes to the board, I think is inappropriate. I think that the board table is where we need to have the conversation about policy, and that's where it should be vetted. I also feel that under the School Act, if we make this into a bylaw at this particular time, we're basically putting it into stone, even though I can appreciate that you can cancel a bylaw. I think it is premature, and I would like to see us have the opportunity to try this on a couple of education committee meetings first to see if it works. I really believe that the education committee has so much value to it, and it is important as trustees that we value that educational committee for its intent to find out what is going on in our schools and what is going on. By adding this to it, I don't see it as a benefit to the education committee. I would certainly like the opportunity to have that discussion, and perhaps this weekend we might be able to have some time to have that discussion, but at the present time I'm not going to support this.
Something further?
I'm, had some concerns that you talked about it in terms of the policy committee being a committee of the whole, in the sense that I, having served on the policy committee for a period of time, found that it was quite a useful place for the development of policies and the wording of policies involving partner groups and whose reps would be present and who then, and it depended on the policy and could change that, the input could change, and then it would go to the board. And so for me, I'm really against wordsmithing policies in a large group, so that to have policy development and review being done in a committee of the whole, to me seems less than likely to succeed. Whereas I feel the need for a place for us to have more extended conversations about the philosophy behind policies that were coming forward and what that practice would be, focusing on the development of policies. I see at the point at which we actually are addressing a policy that's ready for some review and feedback, that is there a reason to do it in an education committee rather than in a regular board meeting? That's the place where I'm not 100% clear as to why this would happen and it would lead. As I read over this policy, there was another one that really struck me, which we've sort of touched on a few times in the past, where it's talking about the business coming before standing committee will be limited to matters that have been referred by resolution from the board. And I've always thought, that was put in a particular thing. A board made that change to what had been there before, so that everything went to the board and then it went back and it went back. Because there are committees that things are emergent, or where a committee has something comes up that's coming from that group, and they'd like to maybe do a bit of work on it, but they can't until it goes and comes back. And so in a lot of ways, I feel like our committee, our work about, if we amend this now, I think that we may still end up wanting to look in general at our procedures around policies and committees. That's going to end up with us re-amending it within a fairly short time span for other issues.
Okay. Trustee Weber?
So I quite like the intent of this. I don't think that, I do think that Education Committee is a vastly underutilized forum, and it has been so as long as I've been on the board. I think to Rick's point about it would be nice to test drive it, I would lean more towards that than to enshrine it. So if there's some opportunities to do that on a without prejudice basis, then I think I would be quite interested in doing that. I do think it's appropriate for us to have a forum, a public forum, which Education Committee is, where we have an opportunity to have a longhand conversation. Certainly as I read it, and it's captured in the insert at the bottom of page 17, is it's not, decisions aren't made at the committee of the whole conversation. Those decisions still need to be made at the board table, and it doesn't preempt further additional different conversations from happening at the board table, but it does allow us a bit of a regular placeholder to have a committee of the whole conversation. So my interest is I like the impetus, the direction that we're wanting to move in, and I'm quite happy to try it out on a trial basis.
Okay. Trustee Caden?
So I like the direction this is going, because it goes back to the Education Committee, and it's a committee that evolving, and I think it's, as Trustee Doug was saying, it's some place that we can have these conversations about things the board we are not having, and that's really good to have that conversation. There were a couple of things in here too that I agree with Sheila on, is that there is some wording, some other issues that I have some concerns on, and I would maybe like to motion to table this, and when we table this until we have those in-depth conversations and we look at some of the wording, and I think that would be appropriate to table this, and then we would have those conversations to come back and revisit this, rather than going through the whole thing and avoiding it. So I make a motion to table.
Second.
Motion to table. Is there a seconder? Trustee Grenham? Motion to table.
Not debatable.
Not debatable. And so we call the question on the motion to table. All those in favor? Okay, thank you. So that's tabled. The good news items from the superintendent.
There are two items on page 22 that I think people would have read. Lots of things going on. This was a short turnaround for us, and I know that there are more things going on in schools that we were able to gather. I wanted to just actually beg your indulgence and ask Director Hesselgrave to give us a bit of a verbal update about some activities that have just gone on in a couple of our schools. One that is going to be tomorrow, I believe, at Coolrob Road. And so if I could ask you to speak a little bit about what's been going on in active student travel, please.
Definitely, thank you. The good news story here is this is about progress on a new program. And it's really exciting because just a little bit of history. In October, hired a program worker, support worker for active travel half-time. And we had this enormous task in front of us of getting more kids to walk and bike to school on routes that were best routes, safe routes. And, you know, it's really exciting now to be at a point where we've made some great progress. All the evidence shows that kids that show up to school that have actually moved their bodies are ready to learn. We had about 50% of our traffic is parents driving kids back and forth to school in the community. So we're trying to make a bit of a cultural shift, and it's a push. And so we started with 3 schools, with Huntland, Shoeband, and Coolrob Road. All schools that have lots of traffic, and there's a bit of a structured plan. Surveys have gone out. Great returns on the survey. It's always hard to get survey returns, but we're getting 60 and 70% returns. Mountains of data. The data's been crunched into these route maps that show all the problem areas around a community, and then out of that we get a collective group of individuals that are cooperating. It's actually quite miraculous. We have politicians, school trustees, parents, educators, and district staff all together, and we're doing these wonderful walkabouts. And we go with a prepared route and a map that says, we're going to go out here, eyes of a child, look at what it's like to get ourselves to school and where are the barriers. And we've done that at Puntledge. We did it 2 weeks ago. And we went in teams and around the neighborhood. We did that last week at Huban and tomorrow at Rob Road. And out of that, after we go for about a 40-minute walk, we come back and we create an action list of the areas where we have problems and who's going to address them. And it comes to a formalized process where we have everybody engaged. You know, if we need a crosswalk upgrade, or we need some sidewalk, or you know, maybe it's better education on district staff for how kids can ride bikes safely. We capture all that and we come up with a living document. So we've just had 2 great successes in the last 2 weeks. We're going to be out at Rob Road tomorrow, and it's going to be another. We have 60. Actually, last count was 14 people that are going to be there, 3 teams. Then the hard work starts again, where you convert that into that detailed action plan, and every child will get a student travel plan that attends those schools. So they'll go home with a map with the best routes outlined on it for where, and it covers the whole catchment, so it can get them in there. And the goal is to really reduce greenhouse gases, get kids walking and biking to school so they're prepared. It's been phenomenal to be part of that. It's been a great project. We foresee it hopefully going many years ahead too, to capture all these schools, and it's really been quite interesting. And what we've learned too out of this, the last piece, is that it's all about connectedness amongst the community and breaking down some of those communication barriers that are there. The other connected piece is, how do we get kids on the bus, and how do we get them when they're coming from the same street, walking together. And so we're really, we've really found this to be a spectacular program and having some good success. And I think probably a little more buy-in, on this when you sort of see it, and so the SCASE program is really it's a good news story, and we'll bring an update to the board again with Angela Holmes, who's our program worker, and show you some of the samples and maps, but it's been a great program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I?
Mm.
I'm so excited too.
How did I know? It's
I
something
can't get away without it. I thought Ian was going to say, and then after our walkabout, we go back and there's really great snacks. But I want you to know now, a big thing is about overcoming the psychological barriers that you say, oh well, it's too scary for kids, or it'll be take too long, or whatever. So I rode my bike. I thought I have to roll my bike. I really got to roll my bike. But maybe it'll snow tomorrow. I rode from, the Lake Trail area to Puntledge, and I made it. Didn't have the heart attack on Vanier Hill, although it seemed like a close call. But anyway, I made it, and it was great, and I felt woken up and energized and twice as smart as I would normally feel. And I talk in the morning because I don't usually feel quite awake. And it was really great, and it was a good experience. And I don't know if I'm going to do it tomorrow. I have a million reasons why I can't make it to Rob Road, but now in public I've said I'm going to do it. I guess I will. But it was really fun, and Ian and Angela are doing a wonderful job on it. And we've got the RCP, we have Ministry of Transport, or Highways, and really people are coming out and being so helpful on this. And I'm hoping, with Angela in that role, that there'll be some really exciting things going on in these schools on for Earth Day around this initiative too. And it's pretty exciting. The fun is great. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Something else on the good news side?
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
that's truly good news, Ian. Thank you. Trustee
It's
Brennan.
the athletic program. Is that the boys' basketball team or the girls' basketball team?
Actually, it would be, at the time, that's the boys' basketball team. I actually have some personal inside information about that. They're probably not first anymore ranked in the province. They were number one for a couple of weeks. They are probably where they should be, according to the coach, probably at about 7th right now. 7th, 6th. Are they up? Oh, shoot. That's not good. Because he doesn't believe in all that stuff. But the girls actually are playing very well as well. So just last weekend, I just happened to know that both the Isfeld boys and senior girls teams were in Vancouver, and both were champions in the Britannia tournament. Both won that tournament. At the same time, junior girls at Isfeld were hosting their own tournament, and they won their own tournament. So that's good news. Very good news. Lots of good basketball going on in the Valley. Yeah, it's basketball time.
It truly is remarkable for a little school district like this, It truly is. The destination imagination and our athletic teams as well.
Well, our improv teams are top notch. Two from Vanier, one from Isfeld.
They win goals at nationals all the time.
I just had a little report on a former student he's at UVic Engineering, representing, going to Skills Canada at the university level, and he came third across Canada. Absolutely, Martin. Yeah.
We must be doing something right, folks.
Yeah. I think the other thing is, and it's noted in here, but it's GP Vanier secondary students giving hope in their textiles program. It should be mentioned here because this is a wonderful idea about first of all, it's engaging students rather than trying to sew for themselves, doing something for somebody else, which is always a good attribute to have. But the fact that they're doing it for parents in Mexico, and so I would like to volunteer to take all those gifts down.
I knew there would be an altruistic reason for that.
The fact that I just came back to Arizona doesn't mean anything.
It's the willingness to volunteer that makes us so great, isn't it? Okay, on to human resources.
All right, on page 23, just to give you
December 31st after 33 years of service for the district. We have Julie Kuzenko, a member of our team in HR, retiring April 18th after 3 years of service for the district. Phil Mon, the principal of Cumberland Junior, will retire July 31st after 23 years of service for the district.
Wow.
And we also have a resignation from a custodian, Mike Clark at Vanier, December 19th after 13 years of service. So all those folks, all those retirees will be honored at the retirement function in June 2014 by the board.
Thank you.
I don't know if this is a good thing to do. Can I just, I just wanted to note that the district lost a teacher recently who had recently retired. Anne Freeman passed away recently, and some of us from the district and in other capacities attended a really beautiful memorial for her on the weekend. And what an exceptional teacher! And the way the teachers of that school, Miracle Beach, really were there in force, and students, and did a beautiful celebration of her life. And they're just special people in our district, you know. Yeah.
They look after each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and to board committee reports, the finance committee?
Yay.
Yeah.
We do have a finance committee meeting on the 4th of February, and we'll be bringing back to the February board meeting a revised budget, which we are required to do, to balance it off, and then we will, I suspect we will be starting the process for a preliminary budget for 2014-15. In regards to the trustee remuneration, the conference allowance is probably going to be a dead issue. As you're all aware, we brought it forward with a recommendation. We've had a meeting. There's been some struggles over interpretation of exactly what everybody means and wants. We'll have another kick at it, but I'm not very optimistic at this point. And that's my report.
Okay. Any other board business? No? Then we're to the public question period. Yes, sir.
This is something really silly, so don't give me a hard time. Really, I wanted to ask Mr. Douglas. The program of kindergartens at Berlin, you have to be part of my family to appreciate this question. Have you ever made the residents die, and have you handled that with such a young group of kids?
We talked about this because dying is part of the life cycle.
Yeah.
And we've been very fortunate that no one has died yet. But we're prepared for that because we talked to them about it. And, you know, the people that work there are very gifted about this and have given us some really good ideas and some really good strategies and some books and some materials. And so we're a little worried about it the first time, but I think we're ready to go with it. And the two teachers have certainly talked about it. And
Are the parents sort of made aware so that in the event something happens, if your child is exhibiting, because some of the children will be closer to different ones than others?
as I say, we haven't encountered it yet, but when we do, we'll have to definitely communicate that. Yeah. It's a big part of it, you know. I mean,
I've got two very different children, so, you know, one's like, they died so much, and the other one struggles.
I think it would be very hard, not only on the children, but the two teachers that are there, and myself, and Carol Walters, who's part of it. Like, we're really connected to this. You saw that teacher's reaction, right, when she was saying thank you and everything. Like, we're pretty involved in this. Yeah.
Well, we had a great uncle at the seniors village, and my mom spent a lot of time there, and as he was going through the dying process, my sister and I were there a lot, and you become really connected with people there. So I was just curious if you encountered that.
But that will be part of the learning process. That's one of the beauties. It's one of the gifts of being welcomed into that for them. If this is about connecting youngsters with seniors, lots of whom don't have seniors in their lives and may never have seniors in their lives. So though it's a gift for the seniors, they tell us, the curriculum that they provide, the living curriculum they provide, you notice how comfortable those little ones are with seniors. Not every young little one is comfortable because they don't have them in their lives. So the dying process is a natural learning that needs to occur, and we're just grateful for the opportunity to be connected to that.
Yeah,
And
it's
so-
just so often,
Yeah.
in my experience, like I said, you have to be part of my family to get this, but we've had lots of people die, and the kids have known that since they were little, but then there's other ones that we go, they're finished school, they've never had anybody in
That's
their
correct.
life die, and some of them aren't prepared to handle it when it happens. When I lost a friend when I was 20, just about everybody who was my age at the time had never been to a funeral. So I think it's a great learning thing. I just wanted to make sure that, it's a learning.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And the president of our local.
My question is about the budget process.
All right.
Forward. We've been very dissatisfied the last couple of years with the process for consultation with ourselves and with department groups. We get called in to meetings where we're basically told this is what we're doing. Any questions about that? Rather than being included much more in front. The process we used to have in years past was beginning in January, we would sit around this room, all department groups, the unions, parents, and excluded staff, and we'd discuss all the issues and talk about possible answers or responses to the things that are going on way farther ahead than we currently are, and heading towards what will probably be a pretty serious crisis around finances, requesting a process that is more inclusionary and way farther ahead than when you have to pass it on to leading people.
Thank you. I believe it's fair to say that we are reconsidering our budget process. We had some other feedback that
Yeah.
suggests that that's necessary.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything further? No? Motion to adjourn is in order.